Hey DC community, I'm senior editor Andrew Marino, and I'm here in the lead up to San Diego Comic-Con to chat with iconic writer Mark Waid.
That's me. Legendary. I prefer legendary, but we'll go with iconic.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like we have many great adjectives we could use for your wonderful writing at DC.
Please. But yes, thank you. Okay.
So let's start with the first question from RMCG10.
Okay.
I'm a new reader, started collecting and diving into comics headfirst back in January. When you're crafting a story with an already certain mythology in place for specific characters, do you find different ways to maybe expand that character's development? Or do you craft stories around the mythos and use it to fit into the story you are attempting to tell?
Oh, that's a good question. It's the former. You start with the mythos and build out from there. Because if you're trying to tell a story and then fit a character into it, then that's what separates a story about that character from a story you could tell with anybody, pretty much. And it's all about what's inside. It's all about in a perfect world, every one of our heroes in a perfect world makes a slightly different decision in any given situation. So you don't want to impose upon that. You don't want to, you don't want to have them play second fiddle to your story. Yeah. They are the story.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, and you never want to write a Batman story and then quickly be like, but I can make this Superman because they're going to feel
No,
different.
that's a bad story.
Yeah. So Hub City Question asks, I'd like to know your thoughts about a team close to your heart, the Legion of Superheroes.
Heard of them?
There have been a lot of different attempts to make them work over the years to varying degrees of success. What do you think is the key appeal of the Legion, and can they connect with modern readers?
Oh, sure. I mean, they can absolutely connect with modern readers. I mean, there's several appeals of the Legion. I mean, one of them is they're huge. There's a big group, and normally you would think that would be a shortcoming in a comic book because there's so many characters. But that's what makes the Legion unique, is that there's so many of them that everybody can be someone's favorite as a fan. Yeah. And that also gives you opportunity for so much soap opera between any kind of conflict, any kind of romance, any sort of relationship between two people you can think of. You can find a place for that somewhere in the Legion as a writer, and readers will pick up on that. Can it connect with a modern audience? I mean, it's rebellious teens trying to do stuff their way, and not flouting authority completely, but thumbing their nose from time to time, and doing it their way. Come on, that's what teenagehood is all about.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question for you
Please.
on this, off the cuff. Who is your favorite Legionnaire?
Brainiac 5.
Brainiac 5.
Brainiac 5. I always like writing the genius guys.
Yeah.
I like writing the guys who are just that much ahead of me on the page.
And Brainy's got a great look too,
He
and
does.
a great connection throughout the history of the DCU too.
He
right?
does. The Supergirl, the Superman. Yes, exactly.
So Red asks, what would be your advice for those wanting to get into writing and creating their own comics?
Good question. First off, let's take these separately. Writing, find an artist. It's hard to get anybody to read your script. Certain companies, don't even have, legally are not allowed to. I can't read your script because who knows, I don't want your lawyer to come after me 10 years from now and say, but you copied this. So find an artist and then start posting your stuff online. The beauty of the internet is it's democratized comics. Yeah. It has made it possible for anybody. If you want to be in comics, great, you're in comics. Because if you publish stuff online, then you get two advantages. One is that editors and publishers can see your work sort of consistently. And secondly, if you do it on a regular basis for some length of time, as an editor, I'm looking at that not just at the quality, but at the fact that clearly you can hit a deadline and you were consistent. And that is a very important part of choosing a creative team.
Yeah, all great points.
Thank you.
I agree as the editor for sure.
Yeah.
So here's a fun one from our friend in our series Batman and Robin Year One.
Yeah?
Dick Grayson asks,
Yes.
what comic book run are you most proud of?
Wow. My go-to answer for 20 years was Superman Birthright, and it's still up there, but it may be Superman Last Days of Lex Luthor. It may be. I'm not just saying that because it's in stores now. I'm really not. I felt so good about how that, and it was my love letter to the Superman universe. Yeah. The Birthright was my love letter to Superman. This was my love letter to the Superman universe. The whole idea was, what kind of story can I build that will give you a travelogue throughout all of the Phantom Zone, Atlantis, Kandor, the future, all the things that make Superman cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got Lori Lemaris in there.
Exactly. Yes,
that's the beauty of it, and it's such a great story about the relationship between Lex and Superman at the same time that's really at the core of
Thank you. Yeah.
that mythos.
I love their relationship. There are various versions of Luthor over the years. None of them are wrong. Everybody's allowed to have their own Luthor. I like the Luthor who was friends with Superman as a kid because I've always liked that relationship, whether it's Two-Face and Bruce Wayne or whoever that you were friends who ended up becoming enemies, and the tragedy of that.
Yeah.
Because in every superhero story, in every hero story, there needs to be tragedy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look at Superman's life and go, oh, lots of tragedy there.
Yeah.
But that's a tragedy. You know, losing Krypton as a vibrant place rather than just a cold, sterile place, that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
These are things that drive a hero.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting then struggle between Clark and Superman with Lex.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Knowing that there is that deep relationship between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Plastic Crayic asks, who is your favorite DC villain to write?
Lex. Sorry. I mean, I know, and I'm repeating myself, but writing that dialogue from Lex, the snarky sort of holier than thou, you know, if Radio Shack were still a thing, I could rule the world.
Yeah.
I could write that stuff all day.
Yeah. The Gene Hackman, I'm the greatest criminal mind to ever exist.
Yeah.
So Lily asks, hi, Mr. Waid. Who is your favorite character or group of characters to write and why?
Favorite character, Superman. Like, again, should be a no surprise to anybody. Favorite group of characters? I really dug writing the Teen Titans. Not the current Titans, but when we did that World's Finest Teen Titans series. That was a blast because I got a chance to put characters together that I'm not used to seeing together.
Yeah.
And really having to give some thought to why these kids would stay together. Suddenly I sound like RFK Jr. Sorry. Yes, okay. There you go.
Perfect. Teen Titans. You've written some, Edward asks, you've written some of the most iconic stories for The Flash, Batman, and Superman, and many more over the years. What is your secret to long-term success?
Heck if I know. I mean, I feel like the Coyote in the Roadrunner cartoon. I'm like, if I look down, I'm gonna fall. I guess, if I had to guess, it is that I still care. I find these characters as interesting and vital as I did when I was a kid. And I still keep up with comics. There's a lot of creative people who don't read comics anymore, haven't read comics for a while. I think it's important to stay in the game and see what other people are doing because it helps you level up your game. And there's nothing more I enjoy than reading a comic and seeing some storytelling trick or technique that I've never seen before. It really inspires me. So, you know, I never write to that specific audience. I'm never trying to pander to, what do today's readers want? I'm just telling the story I want to tell. But still, knowing what is working in comics is a big help. It's the easiest way to become a dinosaur is just to start working in comics, but leave them in your past, you know.
To give you a compliment as one of your editors, though, I think one of the big reasons for your long-term success is something you do so well as a writer, is challenge these characters while also building them up.
Thank you.
And showing in every issue what makes that character important and special.
Thank you.
And always driving towards the emotion of who they are and what they're about. I think that's always something that readers and fans like myself of your work really latch onto and find parts of themselves in the characters in that way.
I appreciate that. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh no, we're done. Ty Murder asks, by the time of this Q&A, I'm tempted to assume you've seen the new Superman movie. Care to share your initial thoughts and review of the film?
Yes. Yes. We will see this after the film has premiered wide, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, thumbs up. He was Superman. I never felt like I was watching a guy in a Superman suit. That's Superman. There was a joy to it, and there was, the overall message that kindness is such an important virtue that we all sort of turn a blind eye to from time to time, myself included. That is what unites us. That is a great message. And I also love the fact that in most superhero movies, the superhero is the fantastical element in an otherwise, relatable, grounded world. No, with this one, we just, like from jump, we just unabashedly come into Superman's world, and that's where we are for 2 hours. It is, I was very entertained.
It's wonderful to hear. So Techie2X asks, what has been your favorite arc that you've written so far in Batman Superman World's Finest?
I've been lucky enough to be, working with Dan, working with Adrian, working with so many other great artists. I would say it's the Batmite Mixes-Pitalik arc. I think that was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Because I wanted, the trick and the hard part of writing World's Finest is that Superman's mythos is so rich. There's so many different places and toys. With Batman, not so much.
Yeah.
There's the villains, but it's not like he has his own.
Yeah, but it's Gotham.
This is the mythos, for lack of a better word, is not as broad. So trying to find the balance so that it's not too Superman slanted is sometimes a challenge. So Batmite, and it was a chance to really put forth the meta message of, there's a time and a place for all these characters, and sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they just need to be put away for a little while, and maybe someday the time will be right for them. But to tell Batmite, I appreciate what you've done. This may be our last adventure. It really worked. And Dan Mora, come on, Dan Mora.
Can't go wrong.
No.
Okay, let me see very quickly. I'm going to be selfish.
Yeah.
Snare asks, hi Mark, huge fan of your work on the Flash mythos, so I've got a question related to that.
Okay.
What was the thought process behind making Impulse? He's one of my all-time fave DC characters, mine as well.
Thank you.
So I'd love to hear what went into making him.
When I was working on the book, my editor was Brian Augustin, and best friends. And we would start every issue with a conversation that would be, can you top this? And in a very friendly way, just come up with idea after idea after idea. One of the things that Brian and I like to do was look to the past of the Flash and the heritage of the Flash and see if there's any elements there that could be up to date, could be brought into the present, whether it's the rogues or whatever. And we got to a point where we're like, well, Kid Sidekick is all we got left, but Kid Sidekicks are corny these days. It wasn't the right time for a Kid Sidekick. But what if it's a Kid Sidekick who hated Wally and vice versa? What if it was one who drove Wally up the wall? Then you got something, and that's where Impulse came from.
Hey DC community, I'm Benjamin LeClaire. I'm the historian and archivist for DC Comics, and I'm here to chat a bit about some of the fun we're going to have at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. For those of you who know your DC history, DC published its first comic book in 1935, which makes us 90 years old, and on our march to our 100th anniversary, we're going to do something very, very special on our return to San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to celebrate 1 decade at a time of DC history. So that means we get to start with the greatest era in DC history, which is the Golden Age, where DC not just created the very first superhero, but so much more, and really created and defined the medium that we enjoy today and the heroes that we certainly worship and follow. So to make this really special, we thought we should pull something out of the vault and bring it to you at Comic-Con. And to make the selection about what comic from the vault that we're going to bring out to all of you, we have Mark Waid, who I revere as not just a great historian of DC Comics, but probably one of the great lovers of comics, period. So, Mark, I'm sure you've seen these in your day here, but I brought a selection of comic books for us to look at.
I can't wait to see what you got.
And let's take it out of our archival boxes.
All right.
And so, yeah, we're going to go all through the Golden Age here.
Okay.
I think you're going to like this very first one.
Oh, I love this one. All right, Detective 58, first appearance of the Penguin.
Excellent.
And I believe, as I recall, the character, the appearance of the character was taken off a cigarette pack. Like, right? A lot of Golden Age artists, because we're making it up on the fly in the Golden Age. There's no rules. You know, the artists and writers were just, working moment to moment. And so they would take inspiration from the weirdest things. And in this case, it was a cigarette pack.
And Gotham, taken out of a phone book.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And the one I like about this one, we've talked about it years before, but the Penguin is maybe the Penguin as a name because of a put down by Batman and Robin as they walk through this museum together and see this man waddling around like a penguin.
Like a penguin, yes.
Maybe they coined the name itself.
Maybe they coined the name. It's not like he came out and said, hey, I'm the Penguin. True.
So you can't go wrong with this.
No.
But I think you might like this one even more.
Okay, we've upgraded villains. I mean, not that I don't like the Penguin. Everybody loves the Penguin, but Detective Comics number 66, first appearance of Two-Face. Beautiful Jerry Robinson story. And again, one of the great Batman villains of all time. The idea that he's flipping a coin to choose. I don't think that has a precedent in comic strips that are comic books that I can think of.
No, but there is, like you said, the inspirations from other comics or other sources. The very first panel has him reading Jekyll and Hyde.
Right.
So you get the idea that it's a classic split form character.
Right off the bat. Very cool.
Okay, so let's switch it from Batman to a character I know you love. One of the most important comics in history.
Lex Luthor. Action Comics 23. This is a really nice comic. Wow. A nice copy. What can you say about Lex Luthor? Or I should just say Luthor. He wasn't Lex Luthor until about 1960. Up to that point, he was just Luthor. And the legend is, and I'm not sure that you and I have discussed this. I'm not sure this is completely accurate, but the legend is that he's given red hair here. He was red-headed, and then some assistant in the newspaper strip drew him as a bald guy. I think trying to do the Ultra Humanite.
Yeah,
right?
that's my theory. Yes.
Right, and so the artist got confused, Ultra Humanite, Luthor, and so Luthor's been bald ever since. But again, a great comic.
And the reason is he's listed as Luthor, the ultra scientist,
That's
and
what you're
Ultra
right.
is the ultra humanite.
Yes.
The other thing I want to point out to fans is you see these terrible holes here? That means it's an original DC Comics copy because we were binding comics back in the early 30s.
Yep.
We hadn't had glue binding or stitch binding yet. We used wire-rimmed binders. You've seen a few of these,
yeah,
right?
like your school notebooks.
Yeah.
Yes, because back then nobody knew. No one had any clue that these pamphlets would be worth anything somewhere down the road. Comics could have been a fad at that point, so why not just do it the cheapest way possible? But it is heartbreaking to look at these volumes now.
But I get reassured every time I see this many holes because I know it's an original DC copy. And no one was binding them because we were the only ones who needed editorial reference to figure out what our characters had already done.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to go from that to another unbelievable landmark comic. Oh, I should say I also think that's the first appearance of the Daily Planet in comic
In
book
comic
form.
books, yes. Here we go. All-Star Comics number 8. You would think the big thing about this is the Justice Society, but no. This is the first appearance of Wonder Woman in a story in the back of the book. Extra pages were added to this book,
Absolutely.
actually. Normally they were 64. This is 72 pages, which was an anomaly back then, but it was a way of making sure that there was room for this Wonder Woman story. I've always been curious about this. I often wonder if that was done after the fact, after Wonder Woman, after Sensation #1, which was her first.
Oh, no, it's the other way around.
Yeah?
So the interesting story on the release of this is everyone thinks like in the Silver Age it's a tryout.
Right.
That we're going to introduce a character, see if it sticks, and then try it out later.
Right.
This is released under 2 weeks, maybe just a handful of days before Sensation #1
Interesting.
comes out and she's on the cover. So this introduces her in a classic boys or big selling mainstream comic for a character we know is going to be a star, but we want to introduce her. So the timing on these.
Counterpoint.
Yes.
The story is almost all text.
Yes.
The story is traditional comic books, but there's a lot of text section
Very
here.
heavy.
And if I were going to take a 13-page debut story and trim it down to 6 or 8, that's exactly what I would do. My theory is this was supposed to be Wonder Woman's first appearance story.
Yes.
And when they realized they could use it as a promo tool in a much better selling comic, I bet they took that first story that was intended for Sensation #1 and edited it down so it would fit here.
Absolutely, because there's the other art that you have William Moulton Marston, who is, new to comics, hasn't written comics. That doesn't explain how text-heavy this is, considering all of the other people involved in it. I think it's exactly that. You have what's a 13-page story crunched down.
Crunched down to 6,
and
yeah.
you lose a lot of panels, and you add a lot more text.
I think that I'm standing by that theory.
And you can't just beat the Justice Society as well. So.
No.
Okay, so we're going to go a little interesting into some of the other things that we do that are not
A
superheroes.
little deeper cut, okay. There we go. Star Spangled Comics #7, a landmark DC Comics, not just because it's the first appearance of the Guardian and the Newsboy Legion, but also Robot Man and Tarantula. Yes or no? No, not Tarantula. There's Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy in here. They were in Star Spangled #1. They were supposed to be the breakout characters, They were the stars of Star Spangled Comics, number one, to the point where they had three of the. It wasn't an anthology book. It was three of the stories were Star Spangled Kid.
Well, it's Jerry Siegel, so we think this is the next great big breakout character after Superman.
They advertised it with a 3-page advertisement in some of their books, touting the fact that from the creator of Superman, the next great character, Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy. And they tried for 6 issues. They really tried, but it just never caught on. So with issue 7, and I think this is the first time in DC history that they did this kind of house cleaning. That they took an existing title, which we do all the time now. They took an existing title and just completely revamped it.
Yeah.
As if this were new number one.
And we should also mention the other power of the cover. This is Kirby and Simon.
Yeah.
So you have the other great stars besides Siegel and Schuster, the only people who ever got house ads that named them as creators in Golden Age, and Kirby and Simon leaving Marvel and coming to DC and creating a whole range of characters, but also just the nature of anthology series is that you have multiple characters in a comic, and that not everything in a comic is necessarily a superhero. Sometimes it's a funny animal, sometimes it's a detective. There's all kinds of fillers, and then there's sort of these hybrids where a group of kids get together with a superhero.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful comic, and Robot Man is. I love me some Robot Man. It is. If you were able to go back and look at those first stories, he's legitimately scary looking. He's legitimately creepy looking.
This is pre-Dog, right?
Yeah.
This is,
and then artist writer named Jimmy Thompson comes along. If you ever get a chance to look at Jimmy Thompson's Robot Man work, just beautiful. It is.
The colors, it's the richness of it all. It's just beautiful. But there is something creepy about a guy who can put skin over himself and hide as a human being. Yeah. Okay, so let's take it to the other great member of the Trinity. We've talked about it. We didn't see her on the cover because she's buried in the backstory. But I have a very important issue of Wonder Woman for you.
This is the very first appearance of the Cheetah, Wonder Woman number 6. Another landmark DC comic and certainly worthy of any collection. I remember when I bought this off the stands. Not really. But, Priscilla Rich, going mad, embracing the Cheetah persona, and I believe carried off to Paradise Island for Reformation afterwards.
It is the amazing thing about Paradise Island. It's not only just an incredible scientific concept, but Marston took it so deep. That woman's world heals.
That's the thing. That's the unique thing about, one of the many unique things about Wonder Woman during this time, is that Batman and Superman would get guys in jail. Wonder Woman would take her foes and take them to Paradise Island for reformation. She believed clearly that there's good in everybody that can somehow be found.
And the other thing you get with Wonder Woman is you get female villains.
Yes.
Which you don't have in a lot of the other comics.
No, because nobody, back then, nobody wanted to see grown men punch women.
Right.
Nobody really wants to see that now, but especially back then. So that was, you got some of the great Wonder Woman villains back then. Dr. Poison, good villain. Cheetah. The other thing I love about this cover is that a few years ago at San Diego, you could get a Lego version of this cover as a San Diego exclusive. I've got the Lego version of this. Yes.
And I just also want to give a shout out to the artist here, Harry H.G. Peter. Really a man who was much older than everybody else at the time, and that's why his art is really Art Nouveau inspired and really is just so unique. And we can appreciate it now. All right, well, this one I know you're going to love. Are you ready for this one?
Oh, I've actually never held a copy of this. This. All-Star Comics number 3, the very first appearance of the Justice Society of America. And not just that, the very first appearance in comics ever of a super team. Yeah, you and I discussed this. People don't give this comic enough credit. Right. This is the foundation. If Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman are the foundation of DC Comics heroes, this is the foundation of the DC universe, because this is the first time that these characters interacted with each other. In the first issue, it was kind of a hodgepodge. They literally were all sitting around a table in the comic, and they all said, "Hey, here's what happened to me today." And then you do a short Flash adventure, and Spectre, what happened to you today? So they took a bunch of inventory stories and put them together with a framing device. But then, starting with issue 4, it was full-out team-up action across the board. Really great stuff. Garner Fox created this team as the writer. One of the most fruitful and prolific writers in DC Comics history.
One of the most important by far. And
far.
I think you just can't put enough of like this round table.
I know.
Like the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah.
And if you ever enjoyed team-ups or shared universes or other superhero teams in any comic,
Yep.
you owe it all to this.
This is where it began.
This was an experiment. This
Yeah.
wasn't a sure thing.
No.
And the success of this paved the way for so many things to come.
It was lightning in a bottle to some degree too. Remember, DC tried to clone this success with the Seven Soldiers of Victory,
Yes.
with the Lost Legionnaires, with some of the other DC characters, and that lasted 14 issues. So this is an enduring.
But those are
legacy.
great comics too.
Those
So,
are
yeah.
no, those are good comics.
Yes.
There's some, but
they're not as good as
they're not as good as All-Star
You know,
comics.
because without the JSA, you don't get the Justice League later on,
Right.
and then all the other returns to the JSA, and so the richness of these universes and these characters, it really just starts here. But
in fact, it sort of the Golden Age ends there as well because for me, for the DC Comics, because as the Golden Age went on and superheroes started to wane in popularity, Flash Comics gets canceled and Green Lantern Comics gets canceled slowly across the line. Everything, all the superheroes vanish, but they still appear in All-Star Comics for a few more years. So that was the only place you could find them for a while. So that was sort of their, that helped establish their legacy and really cement their legacy.
we have only one more comic, and
Okay.
I'm sorry we're down to just one
I'm sorry,
because I
there's
would
so
do
many
this
we could
forever.
choose from.
Yes.
Yes, we could talk about them all forever.
All right. I think this is worthy of consideration as well.
This I had a copy of this once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. This is Flash Comics #1, not Flash #1. Flash Comics #1, and that's an important differentiation because it was an anthology comic. It wasn't a comic about just the Flash like it is today.
Right.
It starred Hawk. It was the first appearance of Hawkman. It was the first appearance of Johnny Thunder. It was the first appearance of the Whip. It was the first appearance of Cliff Cornwall. For all you Cliff Cornwall fans out there, and it really was an amazing take on how you do superheroes. Flash, and again, not many people remember this either. Flash was, according to my research, the very first superhero with one single specialty, with one single power. Before then, every superhero were in the Superman mold. They could fly and they could pick things up, and they, super strength, or they had extra powers or whatever. But Flash was the first specialist.
Where his power defined and named the character
Exactly.
itself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, what a great comic.
Well, and if we don't have a Flash, some of your incredible contributions to
I said,
comics.
if you don't have
are-
Flash, I'm working at a 7-Eleven somewhere. So, and Hawkman, if we don't have Flash #1, we don't have the confusing continuity of Hawkman 80 years
But
later.
that's such a beautiful, great story in that first issue. It's just, it's one of the great origins. I love it.
It really is. There's so many good stories in here. Yes.
And the value you got as a kid for a dime with all of this storytelling, it takes you forever, even today, to read these stories.
It's an all day. To use another antiquated term, it's an all day sucker. It really is.
So again, laminated for preservation by prior generations. We don't do that now, but all the holes mean it's an original DC comic copy that's been here as editorial reference since the day it was made.
Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the hard part. You've looked at them all.
All right.
Take a look again.
Okay.
And we're going to make the final selection now of what is going to come to the fans at San Diego Comic-Con.
I'm picking one.
Yes,
I'm
only
picking
one. I'm sorry, everybody. We really, for security and other reasons, we're going to limit it to just one. But we are working actively to get all of these comics available to you. If we haven't already, digitally and in print. We are passionate about sharing our stories.
For all of the landmarks in my lap right now, I think All-Star 3. I think that's the one that is most pertinent to all of DC history from 1935 to today. Like we said, it established the super team. Right. It made these characters popular. This is the one. Without this, like you said, we don't have the Justice League.
And eventually we'll have connections to Wonder Woman through this. You know, Superman and Batman are, out of the group, but do have this sort of honorary thing that would later on extend into the Justice Society. And you also get just the beauty of a universe of heroes, right?
At the beginning of, literally the beginning of the DC universe in this comic, yes.
Well, I absolutely concur with and agree with your choice, and so I hope everyone's excited. If you come to San Diego Comic-Con in 2025 and visit the DC booth, this should be on display for you.
Awesome. So I think now, just to wrap up, if you wanted to mention a little bit about the game show.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, feel free to, banter for a minute
Okay.
or so
Right.
about that.
What do I have to say about the game show? What do you need to say?
Just like the core points, we're gonna be doing it, I forget what time.
What are we,
Six,
what are we
we're
calling
doing
it?
it
Is
6 o'clock every night. You want me to, I can
Yeah,
take
yeah,
this if you
okay,
want.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll just say, like, if you were there last year, we had a game show. You want
Right.
to tell? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just another plug about the theme for the booth.
Yeah.
And then, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging
Okay.
out.
All right. Well, if any of you were at the booth last year, you know that we had a very special feature at the end of the day. We had a game show, which was very, very popular. Mark, you want to tell them about the game show for this year?
Yeah, we've added a little wrinkle this year. Last year it was, the game show was called The Joker is Wild. Pulling a lever like a one-armed bandit, reels moving around, pulling up categories. Anyone can play. You're welcome to come and stand in line and try to get your shot at a prize. And once the categories come up on the board, due to the randomness of the wheel spinning, then you get a chance to answer a question in that category. And if one of the screens comes up and it's a picture of me, I'm your phone-a-friend. Mr. Professor Waid is over here in the corner, and I can help you out.
I think that's you. If you get that, you have a really good shot at this.
I would hope. I mean, look, I'm the one with the most at risk here.
I understand.
If I get it wrong, I look like a dope. But that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's 6 o'clock Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So
at the
every
DC.
night you're
Yep.
winding down your events at Comic-Con. You go, and I can't tell you how much fun it is to be part of the community watching these things.
Yeah.
Even as an audience member, it was a blast and a half. So I'm really looking forward to doing
Come
it this
join
year.
Professor Waid. Yeah.
I'm always an honor. In fact, Professor Waid, I am so glad that you came here today.
Always a pleasure.
For those of you out there, again, we are celebrating 100 years of DC, one decade at a time. We're starting with 1935 to 1945, which is where we create original content comics, create superheroes, and create superhero teams. So please come this year and enjoy the fun and celebration of the world's greatest and oldest comic book company and the line of superstars.